Okay, this is the rebirth of my 347 turbocharged stroker motor. I have the 1,000 horsepower Dart motor in the works. All the parts over there on the bench. I've showed you some of that stuff. However, reality check is that it's going to be a long time with the money to get it where I want it to be. So I'm not going to half-ass it. I'm going to do it right. So we're rebuilding this guy. I pulled it out, put the old thing up on the lift. Never really supposed to do this, but used to be, you can see I got wood blocks underneath there on my subframe connectors on my crossbeam there, so it hangs the whole front edge over. Well, with the engine, it was actually wanting to fall off, the weight of it. So what do? We just ratchet strap that baby through the wheels to the ramp back there. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast, but that is some redneck engineering right there. Same thing. And then I've also got a winch holding it. You can see the winch all the way at the end, pulling it back to keep sure it doesn't go nowhere. I was actually going to drop the K-member and just take it out that way, but I ended up just using my picker and pulling it out. But anyway, the block, I told everybody in my previous videos when I first built this turbo motor that it was a stock block. That's not entirely true. It is a Motorsport block. This was a crate motor that came from Motorsport. However, they still use, you can see it, the triple X is in there. They still use what is considered a stock block. But if you look it up, it's called the B50, and they're slightly stronger in the mains and everything else, and that might be the reason why I haven't cracked this thing and it's still alive. But the cylinders are all washed out. There's no, lighting won't really tell you. Cylinders are smooth, but that's the problem. There's no cross-hatching at all. They're completely glazed over, and it looks like they even, on a couple of them, even washed out before the ring's seated. And I'm wondering if it never got broken all the way, because I was getting a bit of blow-by on this motor. So we're going to take this in and rehone them. I'm pretty sure I can get away with just a rehone. In fact, I know I'm going to, no matter what, because I don't want to up the pistons. The pistons are all down there, and they're in good shape. All of them, there's one side of the thrust side of the skirt has a little bit of wear, but all in all, they're all right. You can still see the machining on that side of the skirt. On this side of the skirt, you have a little bit of thrust wear, hardly anything. These are probe forged pistons, the 347 kit, with their powdered I-beam rods, full floating on C-clips, and they're incredible. They've done incredibly well. I mean, I've put everything. I've put 600 horse, I'm sure, flywheel horsepower to them. And they've held it. All the pistons look like they're in good shape. Even the rods, there's the mains, the other set of mains. The mains are showing, especially that thrust washer, you've seen the copper on it. But the mains are showing some wear, is what it is. Probably going to throw all new rods and mains in while I've got it out, it only makes sense. Crank is immaculate. This crank is not a forged crank, it's just a scat. It is a scat, but it's their scat 9000 series. It's their cast 347 crank. It's only like a $250, $300 crank, but it has held incredible power, no problems. It doesn't even need a polish. Seriously, I'm just going to chuck it back in on a new set of bearings. It's perfect, so that's good to go there. One thing I did notice, and I have to check, and I'm wondering, you can see this harmonic balancer has started to throw and turn. It's canted. And that's part of the vibration I was feeling, I'm sure. It's spun about 2 degrees as well. I am wondering if this is a stock 5.0 balancer, and if it is, it's the wrong balancer for this motor, and I've spun it for so long. It's supposed to be a 28-ounce balance on these 347s, I do believe, and I believe this is a stock, I could be wrong, but I believe this is a stock 5-liter, 50-ounce imbalance. But either way, I'll get that figured out and get a new one of those. That's toast. The cylinder heads look fine. I'm going to do a leak down test. I'll have them, or a vacuum test on them. Take them down, check them, clean them. But those I think are okay. Those are the crane. They're actually the factory roller rockers that came on the 93 Cobras. And it's actually a crane. It says crane cams right on them. And it's kind of weird. They're really rare rocker to find. There's that old E-cam pulled out right there. Everybody would tell me now's a good time to swap that out, but why? That cam keeps it very streetable. keeps my power down low. I make plenty of power with it anyway. I don't want to break this block if I can avoid it. It's what I've got. Stock roller lifters going back in. It's got a windage scrape. I think that's an aftermarket windage tray, but not sure. Gonna reuse those head gaskets. Just kidding. I'm not gonna reuse head guys. Not gonna reuse those guys. I've seen a ton, but I'm just messing around. Yeah, we'll get a new set of head gaskets on this. I've got all the ARP studs over there pulled out. We'll put all this back in. But this baby will live again and make more power again another day. Put a fresh hone on this guy and make sure the cylinder heads are squeezing right. I think I'm going to try some total seals. Those double rings on the first or second. I can't remember which one they are. I think I'm going to give it a go. But anyway, this is going to live again. Let me just turn this up. There we go. Yeah, but all the cylinders are just totally no cross hatching at all. And it was still running okay. I thought I'd burned it down, but I think what I was feeling, to be quite honest, was a miss because of electrical failures. I'll show you what I found over here. There's serious meltage. This is on my alternator charge wire, and that's not the real issue there. I gotta fix that. But the real issue was right here. I don't know if you can see this one. It's completely melted through. This is all the alternator wires. I had an exhaust leak so bad it blew out on one of this. It was on the number 1 cylinder, and that was shooting. You can imagine right here it was shooting fire forward, just melting all the harnesses for the electrical, and that's where I was getting my misses and stuff. I think it was still running, but my Megasport setup doesn't run well with low voltage, and so I was thinking I was having some compression issues. I got 150 across the board on this, but with the oil consumption, I'm just going to redo it. Anyway, I don't want to bore you guys, but this is going to be about a 3 or 4 day flip back into the car, back around again, and this will keep me entertained until I can complete the other project. Here's all the other crap over here. All the turbo piping. There's my SFI flywheel. This is the double disc with a floater plate, McLeod, twin disc clutch, $1,200 clutch. It's freaking ridiculous, but it's what it costs. And this is it's made it especially. I'm gonna have this ground. I got some hot spots on it. I'm doing what I do with it. There's a factory old Chinese turbo over there, still kicking. That thing, can't believe it. It's $200 turbo, $300 turbo, but makes good power. So I'm a little concerned though on the header tubes. I don't think I can use these again for the new heads because they are ginormous, and I think I'm going to have custom fabbed headers for this turbo setup, and that's where it's going to get real pricey and where I'm going to have to take extra time just because those are going to be way too restrictive for the heads that I'm going to run. But at any rate, I'm sorry I've made this video quite boring, but I just want to show you my rebirth of the 347 stroker turbo. We'll get her back up there around 550 horse, somewhere in there. Have a good night. It's far too late for me.